Pearl and Her Gee's-Been Quilt, written by Tangular Irby. On a lazy Sunday afternoon, Pearl sat playing in the living room with her friends Sallie and Ella as the aroma of homemade biscuits, smothered chicken, rice, collard greens from the garden, and Grandma's favorite tea cakes filled the house.
Wow! That quilt is amazing! My mom has quilts like that at our house. Grandma told me I come from a long line of Gee's-Been quilters whose quilts have been displayed in galleries and museums all over, Pearl proudly boasted. When I get older, I'm going to make quilts too, and one of my quilts will hang over there one day. Pearl pointed to the empty space where she intended to display her work. That's pretty neat, but what are Gee's-Been quilts? I've never heard of that before, Sallie asked, wide-eyed. Pearl sat up straight, with confidence. Back when my grandma was younger, the house she lived in did not have any heat, so she and her siblings used quilts to keep warm during winter. The families who lived in Gee's-Bend, Alabama were very large. Some had 10 or more children, so they needed lots of quilts. They would tear up old clothing to use for fabric. The women would move from house to house, quilting during the evening. During the day, many of them worked at the Freedom Quilting Bee. They would use sewing machines to piece together the tops, but they quilted them together by hand. Sallie and Ella listened in amazement, surprised that their playdate had turned into a fantastic lesson about Pearl's family history. Grandma always says, quilts are like your handwriting, Pearl explained. She says every quilt should be different from everyone else's. I asked Grandma how she comes up with so many different designs. She told me she talks to God when she quilts, and He gives her an idea every time. I told her that I'm not sure that I will be able to quilt the way she does, but she told me, "You can only do your best. You cannot do my best." Helping Grandma is exciting. Pearl tossed her hands in the air with a sweet smile. I get to pick the pieces of fabric that she will use next or thread the tiny needle. Sometimes I thread 3 or 4 so they will be ready when she needs them. Sallie and Ella lay on their bellies as Pearl recounted the rest of her story, her voice rising and falling like she was singing a song. Grandma says quilting isn't always easy. Sometimes the fabric is very thick, and she has to use a thimble to keep from pricking herself. One time, she stuck herself. Ouch! And I could tell she was vexed. But no matter what, Grandma keeps quilting. It sounds like your grandma knows what she's doing, Ella said. I bet you can't make one. Yes, I can, Pearl blurted in response to Ella's challenge. Since you think you know everything, listen to this. The most important part of the quilt is the top. To make her special designs, Grandma sews many different scraps together. Sometimes she uses my old clothes that don't fit anymore, or Grandpa's old t-shirts. Pearl spoke quickly, telling everything she learned, but paused to take a breath before starting again. When the top is finished, the rest of the quilt is ready to be stitched together. Did you know that? Pearl crossed her arms in satisfaction when Sallie and Ella shook their heads, then went on. The middle layer is called the batting. When Grandma was little, sharecroppers grew the cotton and they would pick, then flatten it for the quilts. Next comes the backing. Quilters used to use 25-pound flour sacks for the backing, but now we can go to the store to buy everything that we need. Do you have any questions? Pearl asked her friends. No, they answered in unison. Good, Pearl said. Now, when all of the pieces are together, The back end is folded to the front and the quilt is binded together. Some people quilt straight lines, crooked lines, patterns, or designs. Sometimes Grandma follows the designs on the quilt top. Then there are times when she sews puzzle patterns. She says that it depends on what God says when they talk. I like looking on the back of the quilt to see her designs. Wow, Pearl, you are right, Ella exclaimed. You know a lot about quilting. Grandma says that me and my cousins need to learn so that the world will know about our quilts too.
The girls hadn't noticed that Grandma sneaked in to eavesdrop and hear Pearl teaching her friends so well. She held a few quilts in her arms as she addressed the girls with a sweet smile. It sounds like Pearl has been watching and listening. Grandma beamed with pride. She knows all about our family quilts and where they came from. We didn't have a lot of money back then, but we always had our quilts. Our elders gave us quilts as gifts, especially when we moved up north. We got them when we married. We even got them when we came back down south for visits. Ella and Sallie, I have a gift for you. Here are your very own G's Ben quilts. Take good care of them. Grandma handed each girl a quilt and was delighted to hear them squeal with excitement. On the back of your quilts, I have signed my name and written the name of the quilt. No one else has a quilt like yours. One day, you can pass it down to your own children and tell them the story of G's Ben quilts. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. Most importantly, please support the author by purchasing their book. Until next time.